So it appears the ARK website has updated again. A lot of you have been asking me to take a look at the website and update you on what might be happening with the ARK. What are these? We've got images coming through. Wait. We've got... Hang on, that caught me off guard. You know what? We'll get into those images in a second, because I have some theories on those, so don't worry about it. Shortly after my video ended, they updated the website, and they brought in a lot of new stuff for us to look at. Now, this is a previous version of the website, and a 360-degree view. You can check this video out in the description of this video once you're done here. However, you can see clearly there's some advanced tomfoolery going on. The signal as well has been connected, and we have a steady beam going straight down. Now, it updated once more past this, but I just want to make a note real quick of the stuff here. We have what appears to be some audio transmissions right here. This is something else. This is something to do with light or something, or if you decode audio into an image or something, or it's something weird, but this is an audio transmission, obviously, so something is being transmitted, and then we have what looks to be the portal down right here, on this right here. You can see my mouse cursor, right? You can. And then we have a tech shield as well, for whatever reason. Don't know why there's a tech shield there, but there's a tech shield there, so that's basically that. We have some more stuff going on here with the audio and some DNA sequencing. And right here as well, there is some text, which I will be talking about in a moment too, because we won't be decoding that just right now. And we did clearly see there's something to do with the planet right here as well. If I move back a little bit, it should spring in. Yeah, right here. So you can see the planet actually takes form for a split second. And that's that. So let's move on real quick. So a very different website was updated shortly after what you had just seen, and it brought us to this, a very vibrant and colorful version of ARK/G, showing more text, some different icons, and clearly the beam has changed in color, and it's also transmitting a message, as you can see. Unfortunately, I was not able to access things, so this is more or less what I have to deal with, a pre-made video on it again. However, you can see the ARK icon is right there and some things going down to it, and then you see the center spear where the transmission is coming from. The timer also states 3 days, 6 hours, 19 minutes, and 47 seconds. Now, I'm not sure what the text going around the beam is saying or what it has to say, but we have decoded that every 4 of these little circle things, they basically make one letter. That's all they make. You can see down here clearly, something leads down to a box leading down to something else, and then it goes down to the same image flipped, and then down to the ARK logo. So something is being put into the ARK logo, something is happening with the ARK logo, or something is being revealed in terms of the ARK logo. I have a theory that it's a stretch, but we saw back a little bit right here, actually. Let me just see if I can get it. Yeah, that right there. So I have a theory that this hand and then the ground being moved up and down, there's some talk about there being VR enhancements for ARK, and possibly with the new DLC, because I think we've all come to the conclusion that there's probably going to be a new DLC. Terraforming might be a thing, and in VR maybe you can mold the ground to your own will and stuff using your hands. I don't know, might be a stretch, but I figured I would throw it out there because it doesn't seem like it's a stretch. I know they have the technology to do it, and I know they have the skill and knowledge to do it as well, so I'm not gonna throw them under the bus and say, no, they can't do it, because they're not smart enough. They're clearly smart enough. I'm not sure what these arrows are for, and, well, that's basically that. Just so you know, the big thing that started this whole Genesis deal is that someone over on Reddit actually found the file path of the music to Genesis. So ark_genesis_countdown3 alternative v2. And that's basically the music that you're listening to right now. This was quickly changed once it was pointed out, meaning that we were never supposed to see that. I think something got shown early, and there's a couple other people who have come forward to, you know, showing that this was the file path, Genesis, and even now that they've hidden it, it's still possible to see key components of Genesis being referenced in their website code. Actually, this right here is one of them as well. MP33 showed it as well. Genesis countdown. You can see right here, arkgenesis. So we're looking at something about arkgenesis. Now, there was also a Bible reference, and I don't really like to bring religion into it, but looking right here on Reddit with 2 downvotes, in the book of Genesis, God asked Noah to build the ark. The last thing the survivors in the lore were doing were going to Ararat Prime, where the arks were first launched. Now, that's not a shot in the dark by any means, and we have found links to real-world religion and ark as a whole in the past to the storyline. But I can't say for certain that they're trying to link it up right now. And, well, I guess you come to your own conclusion on that one. Now, back onto the meat and potatoes of what we were looking at. So clearly, the beam is no longer there or active anymore. We do have some holograms right here as outlines for a skull and crossbones, a snowflake, fire, and... Fire turns blue and then it turns into some kind of, I don't know what that's supposed to be, but it seems to cycle, and that's basically what we have. And underneath we have some strange stuff happening as well. Not sure what that is. It doesn't quite look like audio waveforms or anything, but it's underneath all 3 of the icons. And now the timer is 2 days away from the reveal. I see some new text here. I may attempt to decode that, but that looks like it might be the same as it was before. But clearly the big thing for us right now is up right here with these icons, or these images or previews or something flashing and going away. Now I'm gonna try and... What is this? What is this? What is this? What is this? This looks like a map in ARK, but nothing like we've seen so far. This looks like some strange plant life, mountains in the background. It's really... I see some clear trees as well. This is weird. Like, what does this coincide with? Is there an eye? Green, skull and crossbones. This, okay, let's keep going. Does it change? Oh, it changed to the snowflake. Oh, snowflake and then fire and then there's hot, obviously, and then the candle. But what? Well, I think that's a candle. I mean, I might just be being dumb, but what does this look like to you guys? To me, it looks like a candle, maybe? Let me flatten the view out real quick. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a candle to me, but maybe I'm crazy. And then this, maybe it's a water droplet hitting water or something. I think that's what that is, because at first glance, it looks like a tiny-ass candle with a big flame, but you can also see a water droplet that might be going into the water or coming out of the water. And that would make sense because this seems to be showing a theme of stuff. So this is probably underwater. Okay, and then you have the skull and crossbones, which would be a toxic environment, not healthy for people. It does look toxic. It looks like the air might be polluted in that icon as well that we're seeing as a preview. So that kind of makes sense. The snowflake, obviously a cold biome. You see a cliff right here, snow. Wait a second. I see hands. I see 2 hands. And there's something right here. Okay, that's cool, I guess. Moving on. That only flashes for a second too. And then you get the fire. And the fire depicts... This looks like it might... This looks like something falling out of the sky. That's what... This doesn't look like a volcanic eruption. This looks like something is falling from the sky. And it might have hit something and wiped it out? Or something else is happening. This doesn't quite look like a volcanic eruption or just a normal fire. It looks like something else might be happening. I don't know. It's up for your own determination as well. And then continuing on, it cycles through once again to the water droplet, or what appears to be the water droplet, so on and so forth. And looking down through this stuff, I really don't see much happening that's of interest. Just that things change color. So, continuing on with some Reddit posts that I had found about arkgenesis and what may be happening with the game, this is the most updated thread that I could find about the reasoning as to why people think arkgenesis is a DLC and why so much work is going into it. So, the MP3, obviously, as you can see, arkgenesis countdown 3 alternative v2. Now, this is something that I actually came across personally myself using Firefox. If you investigated or inspected the element on the website, you actually got to see the source code, and well, you could see all of that stuff basically, and it's the same format and everything as the other files that we've seen in previous stuff. Genesis also suits the /g in ark.gg/g, so Genesis really getting strengthened there. Now, something else that was mentioned on the G page was obviously the initiate AP uplink, which we believe is Arat Prime uplink, which makes sense for the storyline of ARK. AP wouldn't really make much sense for anything else, and Arat Prime played a very large secretive role in making questions for the next stage of ARK at the end of Extinction. Now, something else that was found was that it looks like all the files have some header data that was attached by Adobe Premiere Pro. That gives us some insight as to the original files. Interestingly enough, it looks like the project name for the video file used in /G was Gen1 VR_teaser. The full path looks like this, and you can see it right here in the metadata. We can also see a little bit of file history. The earliest day for the file is July 26th. The music.mp3 file used for playing music in the G teaser path. Gen 1 test project seems to confirm the Genesis theory. So we've been teased a bunch of stuff about Genesis and what might be happening with it. However, you don't really know the story of what's leading up to Genesis, do you? And if you do, well, I guess you're done for now. But I have a really good recap here from Diamond Creeper that I'm going to explain to you, and it pretty well falls in line with everything that I've told you guys so far about the storyline of ARK. So let's get into it. As you know, Element caused the destruction of Earth and everything else around it, basically. Element is a strange, lightweight material that came from beyond the stars. It would appear a meteor storm crashed into Earth, gifting this mysterious element to humanity. Its uses were limitless, and a new age of tech was born. Cities built on the site of the element crashes, such as Sanctuary, became the most successful and technologically advanced in the world, yet there is more to Element than it first seems. Element is literally alive. It's a living organism that grows and pulsates and latches onto other life forms, from the smallest ant to the entire planet, like a parasite. Element is more flora than fauna, though each use of tech, the technology that is powered and built upon Element, puts a small puff of Element pollen back into the air to reseed. It's unnoticeable in small amounts, but a century of open tech-based warfare would cause some serious damage, which we know happened around Sanctuary, or at least we believe that's around what happened. Element corrupts in two ways, good and bad. Good corruption is blue, like the charged creatures, bioluminescent zones on Aberration, or the gas bags, snow owls, and the mana thingies, and Volanosaurs on Extinction. Bad corruption is purple, like the Nameless, the rivers in the red zone on Aberration, Rockwell, the corrupted room that's basically all around him, and the waste of Extinction. And of course, the Titans. Now, according to this, Earth, as far as we know, has been split into 3 distinct eras, according to the Hall of History in the Tech Cave. Prehistoric, modern, and futuristic. So that's basically the Homo Deus, which is what we are leaving Extinction. We are Homo Deus. We've ascended, and now we're on Earth. At some point after our modern, the element comes to Earth, and tech becomes the next step in humanity's journey. The world, according to the survivors on Aberrations, seems to have been split between the Federation and the United Republics of Earth. According to the survivors of Aberration, the two aren't at blows yet, but with their attitudes, it's inevitable. Santiago, one of the survivors, deduces on Earth that the only way for Element to have spread this widely and quickly is a century of tech-based warfare, which he feels personally responsible for. At some point, Earth died, leading to, and well, that's basically, you know, all the stuff that happened there. If you don't know who Santiago is, he's the guy that made the mechs and all the crazy stuff we got on Extinction to fight the Titans, the mega mech and stuff like that. He made all of that, but in his past life, because he's obviously a clone, in his past life, he might have actually designed weapons and stuff too. Now we move into the ARKs. The ARKs were launched in the wake of the apocalypse into orbit. They are pieces of Earth controlled by an overseer and a Homo Deus to rebuild the population of the planet, animals and humans, before returning to Earth and cleansing the corruption of the element. However, the element had such a hold of the planet that the ARKs never returned and remained in orbit, slowly falling apart, becoming death traps to their survivors, as you can see in the Wyvern Trenches and the Reapers on Aberration and stuff like that. And then we move into the Homo Deus, which the Ascended are a form of Homo Deus. The survivors currently on the ARKs are not Homo Deus. The only true Homo Deus is you, the player, after you defeat the Alpha King Titan and save Earth, centuries or millennia ago. Some of the Homo Deus on Earth gave up their physical form to ascend and integrate with the system that run all of the arks. Each ark is overseen by a Homo Deus. Ascending in lore, not the game, gives you access to a vast information and system. And it also has explained the information slowly breaks down even the strongest minds until they are virtually nothing. Over the centuries, the Ascended have lost their individuality and ability to manipulate the system. Then they become a ghostly fragment that's basically, they're a broken person, basically. They just don't exist in the system anymore because of all the stuff that happens. Next, we move into the One Who Waits. Helena Walker is the One Who Waits, or She Who Waits, depending on Extinction or Extinction Chronicles. As explained in ARK's Explorer Notes, Helena had a biological affinity for mending with tech. As seen with the mechs in Santiago's notes, when she was guided to Sanctuary's archive, and later when she put the prism in her survivor implant, she began to ascend, and the ascension process, which was completed later when May placed her in the Tomb of Ascension. Helena cannot directly affect the system, only make minute changes that pile up over time. Now, just to be clear with you, Helena and her connection to tech, basically she had a very advanced nervous system for some reason. We're not really quite sure, but she was different from the other survivors in that she was just much more advanced physically and biologically. Something was different about her, and I think, if I'm right, in her lore, she came from a more futuristic era, whereas Santiago, I believe, came from a similar area. May came from way in the past, and so on and so forth. These people that you're talking about and we're learning about came from different time periods. They all came from different walks of life and different technological backgrounds. Then we move into resurrection. This is how you're able to respawn in the arks, and where everyone got a bit confused and was wondering if things were clones, and it turns out you actually are a clone, and when you die you just get cloned and your consciousness is changed over. And here's how it happens. After Helena ascended, Mei Yin was the only human left on Earth, and she fought with no purpose or reason. Helena, now an overseer or whatever you want to call it, felt guilty, leaving her old friend alone, and clawed desperately at someone to help her. In this desperation, she resurrected Diana from Aberration, who had died trying to stop Rockwell. Afterwards, it took Helena centuries to perfect resurrection and implement it into the system. Yet she warned us, once Earth is fully revived, she won't be able to revive us anymore. And I don't know if that means May was ever able to get revived. I am not 100% sure on that, whether or not she could or couldn't. May have long since died and then was unable to get revived, but anyways, the point is Helena is the most recent overseer, the most recent Homo Deus who is destined to lead the arks, and unfortunately leading arks, as we know, leads into madness, and you turn into a fragment of what you once were. You lose your humanity, basically, from the advancements. So, at the very ending of Extinction, we found out about a place called ARK Prime. Now, there's a character called May and also Diana, and they were the only two people left alive on Earth, and they headed for a mysterious test site on the other side of the planet called ARK Prime. This is on the other side of Earth. There's not really much more known about ARK Prime other than it may have been the launching point or designated zone of the arks, and it was transmitting some kind of signal that went dark just after the events of Extinction, or whatever caused Extinction and everything basically horrible, more or less the arrival of the Titans. And that leads us to where we are now, awaiting the mysterious announcement. It does seem that more than likely this is a new DLC that will finish the story started all those years ago. It's unknown if we'll be able to revive or if things will be more hardcore, simply because it's also stated in the lore that once the planet is being healed or has been healed or resurrected, we lose our ability to respawn. Because a system was made by, I believe, Diana or Helena. Someone in the game, in the lore, made the system for us to revive and respawn. We're not supposed to do that, but they made that just before they died or they moved on. And then basically that's the arcs. Like we're able to be cloned, and we're just clones. If we die, that doesn't matter because we just continue on. So the life is endless for us until clones stop being made. But that's besides the point. We don't know if we're going to have respawning or not, simply based off of that and the Earth obviously being brought back up and being healed. I would assume that would disable the respawning system to some degree. And also, another thing is that it's mentioned that there are tons of Titans, all servants to the king, spread around the globe. Not really sure if we're going to be fighting them, though, because we killed the King Titan, and that's pretty much that. Anyways, I don't really have much more to share with you on Genesis for the moment. We're just going to have to wait around for the next 2 days and see what's going to come up out of it. However, keep me updated on what you see on the ARKgenesis website. I've been getting a lot of tweets and comments about people wanting me to check this out, so I'm checking it out again, and I'm giving you the reasoning for it being called Genesis. Also, some information about the story, and hopefully this will give you some clues as to what's happening in ARK in general. Thank you, Joshua Blue Moon, for providing the logo for this video. Very much appreciated. I'm sure the ARK devs as well are going to be side-eyeing you for a little bit for having this because it's a Genesis-related thing, but that's all you can really do. Guys, that's it for now. Leave a like if you did enjoy this video. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Wildcard if I've just blown the theory and it's basically ruined the stream. I am so sorry, but I'm sure people will be there regardless. That's it, guys. I will see you in the next one.